am your host, the nurseologist, and I am here to let you know that nurses call the shots. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to She's the Boss Radio Network, 24 hours, 7 days a week, focused on topics to build, strengthen, and inspire, as well as motivate men, women, youth from the home to the conference room and around our community. This week, we have a hefty topic to talk about. This is going to be a wonderful show this week. We're going to do a little bit of talking about male nurses. Yes, we're going to talk about that hot topic. I'm going to give you some lovely statistics on that. I'm going to tell you why men's scrubs is at the top of their game right now. We're going to talk a little bit about so special with the type of care that they give to everyone. Sometimes people get it a little twisted, because you have a team in nursing that makes the flow works good at work. There is no nurse that can do everything that needs to be done. So today's show is going to be dedicated to nursing students and anyone who are looking to become a nurse, because that is my profession and it's so dear to my heart that I share with nursing students to let them know a little bit about what they're getting into. We're going to talk about job security. We're going to talk about competitive salaries. We're going to talk about the flexibility as a nurse. We're going to talk a little bit about career growth and opportunities. We're going to talk about travel nursing. We're going to talk about bonuses that you can get from your job. We're going to talk about a little bit about travel versus getting a position within an organization. And we're going to talk about the 5+ in being a nurse. So let's start off by talking about that. What are some of the pluses that are geared to nursing? If you would like to call into the show, please call in at 443-272-5922 so we can talk and have a conversation about, why you should become a nurse. And if you could call in and tell me why you became a nurse, that would be even more important. And if there are some nursing students out there listening, please follow my show on Instagram, the Nurses Lounge radio show. And you can also follow me on Facebook under that as well. I am here to tell you that we're going to have a fabulous show this week. And what I really want you to do is call in and let's talk about why you chose this career. Because nursing, as they say, are not for the weak at heart, you know, and that is so true. But more true to that statement is if you're willing to work hard in nursing, it doesn't matter what form of nursing that you're working in, but you will enjoy working in nursing. That is the most important part about being a nurse. Now, most people, or I hear some people, talk about they go into nursing for money and this, that, and the other. You can go into any career if you think it's for money, but once you get there, you will discover that money is not worth what you go through as a nurse. So that is very important. I hate to hear people say that sometimes because what we have to think about is that person on the other end feelings. You know, as a nurse, you take some very competitive classes that are not very easy. You know, I've had friends who started their career and when they went to college, and they talked about how they were taking science courses, and they decided not to take those courses because those courses were so competitive. They were hard. Um, Statistics was one of the courses that they said that they really didn't understand that type of math, you know. And then the other thing that bothers me is because people say to you, whatever you learned before, you don't have to worry about it once you become a nurse. Yes, sir and ma'am. Everything that you learn in nursing school, you have to remember throughout your whole career. So don't let anyone talk you out of or let anyone tell you whatever you study in school, you will not need it because, yes, everything that you study in school, you will absolutely need it and more. So, with that being said, if you are a mom, it does not matter because as long as you can discipline yourself and find time to study, you can go to school and study being a nurse. Now, nobody said that you had to go to nursing school and you had to fly right through nursing school. No, it takes time, it takes wisdom, it takes patience, it takes just that push and that drive to become a nurse. You know, nursing is not for everyone. And yes, sometimes you know when it's not for you. And that's fine and dandy. But on the other hand, it is so rewarding. It is such a blessing to care for others. And, you know, once they get well, just to hear, you know, a little bit about their journey when they were going through to during their illness is like, wow, it is so eye opening. So let me tell you what the five pluses are. The reason why some folks become nurses. You want to help people, that's a plus. You want to help people in their time of need and make a meaningful contribution to your community. Now, that is so important. You know, some people work for large institutions, and some people would rather work in community hospitals where it is a local hospital for a community. And that's where I find myself being the greatest help is working in community hospitals because when you work in larger institutions, the patients tend to get lost, or some of the staff tend to not talk on their level to give them the thoughts and give them the time that they need. So, what is essential meaning to be a nurse? I think this was best said by one of our poets and civil rights activist, Amaya Angelou. She says, as a nurse, we have the opportunity to heal the hearts, the minds, the soul, and the body of our patients, their families, and ourselves. They may not remember your name, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. Now, when you take that comment and you really, really, truly listen to it, I am here to tell you that Maya Angelou hit the nail on the head with that quote. That quote about families, they may not remember your name, but they will definitely not forget the way you made them feel. And that's why it's so important in nursing that we make every patient feel the same way, give them the same care, and answer their questions. If you can't answer their questions, there's always resources at your job that you can give them at a later time. You can always let them know you'll get back to them, especially the families. You know, the families are the ones who really care for the patients and really truly want to understand what the topic is, what is the issue, how can they make a change, not a sudden change, but a gradual change in their patient care. So, right now, we're getting ready to go on a break, and I want you guys to stay tuned because when we come back, I am going to give you some statistics on our male nurses. Not only that, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what goes on and what type of mindset you need to be in to become a nurse. So stay tuned, and when we come back, we'll talk about these hot topics.
She's the boss. Radio.
And if you would like to call in and just discuss a little bit about why you became a nurse, call in at 443-272-5922. It is always great to hear from you guys out there so that we can share with our community as to why some of our community nurses decided to go into nursing. There are more men in nursing today than at any other time in history. That's good for male nurses and the profession. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor, the statistics show 12% of the registered nurses are now men. That's because men now are getting it. They're getting that women are out here and they're in their profession and they're doing it and they understand the money wise. You know, it's still a difference in what a department will pay a man versus a woman. Now that's something that we're gonna have to work on. But let's get back into these male nurses. 12% of those registered nurses are now men, up to 2.7% male RNs, and since 1970. So I'm telling you, these men have figured it out. They're not only going to let a woman work in her profession, that they're coming out here for our profession as well. But it's a great, great teamwork effort. Now, what I've heard from some male nurses, depending on where they work, They are being overworked, so they believe that they're getting paid according to what they are working for. And the reason why I say that is because most male nurses notice that when they work on a unit and they have a heavy patient, other nurses and other staff members tend to come get them to help reposition, move a patient, um, do anything that is heavy to do that nurses have been doing for years, but they, seem like they need the male nurse to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the benefit of being a male nurse according to some males. Beside the inherent reward of helping people in their times of need, the bonuses that they get for being a male, those are some of the perks that they get. A healthy demand on a salary potential and the advancement opportunities in nursing for a male. The sky is the limit when it comes to nursing, period. It's all about whether you're working in med surge or whether you're working in a specialty area. That would be some of the areas where you would get paid a lot more. If someone is good working under pressure, of course the ER is a good place. The ICUs, PCUs, MICUs, NICUs. If you're good at working under pressure, those areas would be pretty good for you. Some of the female nurses aren't comfortable being flight nurses, but for some of the men who maybe be a paramedic that interested in being a flight nurse, I mean, the sky's the limit. We need nurses on the ground, we need nurses in the air, we need nurses pretty much in a lot of different areas. Not to mention the flexibility that a nurse have. Some nurses go through training in the military. We have branches in the military where now men are joining the nursing corps and in the reserves and in the other branches of the military as well. So how much do a male nurse make? Now this is a tricky question because it depends on so many factors. It depends on your geographic location, it depends on your education, and just your personal ambition, and the role that you play in nursing. But generally speaking, there is some, you know, bipartisan, as I would say, when it comes between a male nurse and a female nurse. And they always tell you at work, don't discuss your salary. But how can you work alongside your staff member and not discuss your salary? Come on. Come on now. That is something that we all eventually start to talk about. What you make? Okay, well, I make this and you're making that. Oh, well, I'm going and I'm going to complain because I think that I've been here longer and I should be making. You know, that is just so funny. But we all have to realize that in this time and age, somebody's going to make more than someone else. It's just according to how you market yourself. Maybe you need to investigate what he's making before you go to the interview so you can ask for the same amount or more. See if they'll give it to you, and as long as you have the credentials to back that up. So, back in 1990, the median annual wage for a registered nurse is $73,000. You know, is that a lot? No. Should nurses be making more? Yes. There's other professions that make a lot more, but you always have to start somewhere. So that's something to keep in your back of your mind. You have advanced practice nursing, such as nurse anesthetists, nurse midwife, nurse practitioners. They're registered nurses that have advanced practice, and their medium salary is 115,000. So, see where you fall in, a nurse educator, the nurses that train other people. They really don't make a lot of money, and they complain on a daily basis about what they're making. But what they're doing is making a difference in our community. Um, so as a nurse educator, the medium income is 74,000. You know, when I say these prices or ranges, you know, a lot of people get upset and they wonder, well, why nurses get paid so much less and they do so much work? Well, if you guys call in, then maybe we can figure that out when it comes down to your point of view. Or go on IG or Facebook and strike up a conversation as to why do male nurses get paid more than female nurses? Or you can call in today at 443-272-5922. We're getting ready to go on a commercial break, and I'll be right back to discuss some other things. Thank you. I am your host, the nursologist, better known as the magic nurse as well. So let's just get back into these hot topics when it comes down to being a nurse. Let's talk a little bit about job security. Let's talk about competitive salaries, flexibility, career growth opportunities, and travel. Job security. Even with the hospital budget crunches due to COVID 19, the field of nursing is still expected to grow by 12% by 2028. That is much faster than the national average. That means that hospitals are still looking for nurses. They're trying to be competitive with the travel nurse rates. The travel nurse rates have dropped tremendously. So, the difference between job security and a travel nurse and a staff nurse is a travel nurse. You have to pay all of your own expenses. You have to pay for school, any education that you're going for. Not only do you have to pay for your education, you have to pay your insurance. You have to get your own insurance. You have to put away money for retirement on your own. Yes, you're getting paid at a higher salary. But if you take out everything that if you were employed somewhere and you put that money aside, you will find out that you are really losing money. You're losing so much money that if you went back and transitioned into a staff position now, It is very competitive, even with the rates, but the rates are not as high as they was 2 years ago. And that goes for certified nursing assistants, certified medicine techs, certified medical assistants, all the way across the board. Even when we talk about administrative people, financial people, all of those salaries that were out 2 years ago are now going back down to the regular rate when it comes down to travel or just getting a job that's not staff. You know, travel as a nurse. When you want to live or work in another part of the country, even Japan, South America, they still have travel assignments. Hawaii, Albuquerque, they still have travel assignments, but those travel assignments are not paying the triple and double figures that they were paying 2 years ago because now economy is getting back to itself. It's not totally back there, but it is getting back to the basics for us. Although COVID is not going away, just like the flu is not going away. There are several other illnesses, pandemics and epidemics that have come up, and those epidemics and pandemics don't go away, but they are under control. um According to the CDC and WHO, the World Health Organization. That's all I have to say about that. I don't want to get into politics about either one of those agencies without having them on to represent themselves. Anything that you hear on this show is strictly my opinion and not equipped to diagnose or speak for another agency or organization. I am just here to offer some of my opinions. Now, getting back to competitive salaries, according to the labor law, new graduates, either the means or new graduates starting, I want you to know that a new grad, everybody think nurses get paid so much money. But if you're just coming out of school and you don't have a CNA background or you don't have a healthcare background to back you up, you will be starting at $32 an hour as a registered nurse. So I want people out here to understand nurses education is very, very competitive and they don't really make a lot of money, but they do this and they do this. And that's why I'm trying to let you guys know because some people say things to me and I kind of let it go. Nurses tend to share their compassion, empathy, humility, and self confidence that they can do the job. That's what they drive on. So when you think to tell a nurse or curse a nurse out, just think all of your patient illnesses, all of your comments, they take home. They can't discuss with their families about what's going on at work. So they keep all of that bottled up inside of them, years and years and years. After you've been a nurse for 5 years, and the amount of people that you've taken care of and came across is astronomical. Some you remember and some you don't. You usually always remember your worst patient. You usually always remember your worst family. You usually always know your sickest patient. And you really always know that patient that really did something and struck a nerve, or I say not struck a nerve, that you remember that you tried everything that you could and it just wasn't enough. Because we don't know when our time comes, but we always try to think on our feet and try to figure out what else can we do to advocate for you as a patient. You know, um So it's not about the $64,000 that you start when you come out of nursing school making, but over the years with your background, um, the areas that you're getting educated in, the amount that you put into being a nurse, you know, You could go from making $64,000 a year to making 130,000 years in a 3-year time span. And that just comes from your education, your background, and what you're willing to learn, and how you use nursing and your other attributes to get you to a higher level of pay. So being a nurse, you can start off at 64,000, and before you know it, you're making 100, 3 figures or 6 figures, and that would be wonderful for you. The flexibility in nursing goes a long way. You can work part-time, you can work full-time, you can work flex hours, you can work weekends only, you can do 8, you can do 4, 8, 12 hours. You could even live in with someone in a home and do nursing and make out pretty well. But you can make overtime sometimes is very good. But what you have to keep in mind, when you're working a lot and you're working overtime, do not get to the point where you feel burned out. Always take breaks, take vacations. I don't care if you are in a city, go to a hotel, treat yourself to a spa in that hotel. And when I say treat yourself, I mean no limit on yourself. Just treat yourself to something good so that you will know that you enjoyed making those dollars and cents. And it is so rewarding to treat yourself and not be a burnout. Some nurses say, I don't want to be a nurse anymore. It's not that they don't want to be a nurse anymore, it's just that they need to learn self care, how to take care of self so you can take care of others. A lot of nursing and a lot of healthcare professionals do have psychiatrists, social workers, psychiatric treatment. After you done heard so many people problems, sometimes you just need a way to balance that off. You need someone to talk to release that information, because that information cannot be shared with anybody, because you never know who you're talking to. And it's very important that you don't share people's information, because who you may be sharing that information to, someone may know them. And that's not a good look at all. So let's go about talking about men scrubs and why Google search says that the term nurse is not just for women. Men scrubs is the highest rank search on a search engine. Men are looking for clothing that will fit their style and not all of this frilliness that's out here for women. They want the same type of protection that women have in their scrubs. So it is like, they did Google did a word search, and they searched that more men are looking to where to buy their scrubs as well. 10% of the total nurses nationwide are men. What gives them that? Like I say, well, if you've ever worn women's scrubs, you know that they often have this fitted cut that's nothing like it for men. Men don't want to go to work wearing tight scrubs and tight t-shirts. They want to be loose. They want to be comfortable. Women, you even need to be comfortable, because some of these scrubs and t-shirts you wear reveal a little too much. So you got to be careful when you're going to certain jobs, you know. And men, they tend to buy, they talked about how men consider buying scrubs before they get them. While cotton is comfortable and breathable, it's not as durable as the blends of synthetic fabric. Cotton also wrinkle like crazy. So who wants to go to work wrinkled up? Nobody. And some of y'all out here have your bellies hanging out. Y'all just give these scrubs a bad name, especially some people that's not nursing and they wearing these scrubs and t-shirts. They give nurses a bad rap. I'm telling you, I be checking them out, and it's not funny. But some of y'all need some long length mirrors to be checking yourself out before you walk out the door. Because I tell you, I be seeing some shaking my head moments. So when you're looking for scrubs, they say that about 60% cotton, 35 to 40% polyester would be ideal. Some may also have rayon and spandex, which is stretchable. They are good things to wear. One, because when you wash them, they don't shrink, they don't get distorted, the colors don't change as much. You know, there are quite a few different fits you can get too. You can choose to get close fitted taper cuts. The tops, you can get them button down, v necks, or traditional cut. With pants, they have styles that include joggers, slim fit, regular fit, cargo pants. Some institutions really ban some of these cargos and joggers that people wear. So pay attention before you go buy your scrubs at what institution you're in so that you don't waste your money, and always hold on to those receipts because they are a good tax write off. And that goes for shoes, stethoscopes, anything that have to do with the nursing profession, including your underwear, your t-shirts and things that you wear, that you can write off as well. Your cell phone if you use it for work, your car if you use it for work, you can write off of all your payments, your insurance you pay. It's so much that you can write off when you're a nurse and you're out doing certain things. Drawstrings, you have button flies. Just be cautious with what you're out here buying, because everything that's in a scrub store is not meant for you to wear out in public. And especially these joggers, some of these cargos, jean scrubs. Some jobs take offense and don't want you to wear those. Men choose to wear tops with v necks or zipper jackets that they can put on and take off. Their pants are generally the fly front drawstring pants or cargo drawstring pants. Some guys do wear those tapered leg pants. I haven't seen any men in anything that I say, oh my goodness, did he come to work looking like that? But I'm telling you, these women, you just never know what you're going to get. And some women get sent home. So, be mindful of where you buy your scrubs, what type of scrubs you're buying. And by all means, these t-shirts with these V drops and all these tattoos. Now jobs are not banning hiring nurses who have tattoos, but you have to wear sleeves to cover up some tattoos, because some of these tattoos are not proper to be in the healthcare field or any field that may be. Um, with some of these choices, you can go online and find different cuts of scrubs that you can wear. You know, just be mindful when you're working somewhere, when you're asking men to help you. Just be sure that you really, really, truly need them, because some men, are getting to the point where if they have a needy nurse or needy staff members on, they will change their shift if you become too needy. I'm gonna bring on a male nurse so he can vocally tell you his opinion as to being a nurse and all of the calls he get that other nurses want when he is available or not available on a unit. You know, it's very competitive. Why men choose nursing? Some men choose it just because they are, seeking a career change. Some men, their nurses, their wives are nurses, nieces, cousins are nurses, and they talk about the field. And some males are paramedics, and they don't mind coming into, the hospitals and share some of their professions. I've had police officers who retired and came back and became nurses because they had to bring patients to the hospital, and they found it to be interesting about, the study of the human body. And, they on the other side of the fence now, being a nurse. You know, being a nurse is a rewarding career, is what you make of it. Not to say that nursing school is easy, because by far nursing school is not easy. And like I say, don't let anyone talk you out of becoming a nurse if that's something that you're interested in becoming. But what I do want to say is, please, please come into the nursing field with some expectations as to what you need to do. Being compassionate, having empathy, making sure that you are sure about your studies. That is most important. And be, you know, be cautious about what you're doing, where you're doing it, and just do what you have to do in the nursing field. So we're wrapping up this episode. We have one more break that we need to go on so that we can pay these bills. So stay tuned for the wrap up from this week episode. A little bit about what I came into. I decided to figure out what could I end this week with, and I am going to end this week with: nurses, you need to start wearing compression socks. You know, it's nothing about you being on your feet for years and hours. They have comfortable compression socks out here that you can get measured for, or you can wear the general ones that are in the stores. But compression socks are not just for nurses, they're for servers, construction workers. You should wear compression socks to help reduce the pain and swelling which causes from spending much time on your feet. The best compression socks for nurses are in the stores, which is worn socks that come up above your calves to help with those long flights if you're a travel nurse, and not to mention that you spend a lot of time on your feet. But I found out that plenty people wear them, even athletes wear them. Some women who are pregnant wear them. Sometimes just wearing them every day for comfort, it helps to keep your feet and your legs healthy. And if you want to be a nurse or healthcare provider for a long time, those are the things that we need to try and take care of. Now, this is a full disclosure. Not that I'm saying that nurses should wear them, construction workers, or servers. I'm just saying, in fact, for good posture. I spent my time walking around and wearing compression hose when I was much younger, and I am now getting back into wearing them because when you're on your feet for a long period of time, your legs start to expand in your shoes, and you know you should not wear tight shoes anyway. You should be wearing some loose shoes and wearing your compression stock socks because those prevent you from getting other problems. Now, they're different heights and lengths. They're different compression types. You can go to a chiropractor or to your primary care doctor, and they can send you. And not to mention that these compression socks are beautiful and cute. So they are really nice to wear, and it's very, very important that we wear them. Even if you wear them maybe 3 times a week, whatever, they are good to wear. Now, what I want to talk about is the difference between male nurses and female nurses, and I want to just share some statistics with you guys to wrap up the show. Nursing is one of the highest demanded and fast growing professions in the United States. Although the nursing industry is female dominated, more and more men are joining the profession. So, what is the difference between a male nurse and a female nurse? Well, let me tell you a little bit. Male nurses represent about 5.8% of all nurses, where female nurses is 94.2%. Nursing is one of the highest demand, like I say, and fastest growing. It doesn't matter if you're a male nurse or a female nurse, you're still getting the same education. When they talk about weekly salaries, you're talking about a male nurse maybe making a week 1,168, where a female nurse may only be making $1,011, a week, which is not good. And we're working on that. We're making sure that we are getting equal pay. 2 or 6 years of higher education plus state certification may give you a little edge on that. So they say that female nurses are really, really highly educated than the male nurses. So I don't know. That's just what they have out here for us to look at. They said that there are 158,000 male nurses to the 2,566,000 plus nurses. So that should give you an average on how many female nurses there are related to male nurses. But generally, all nurses, 3 out of 5 nurses have jobs in hospitals. Only 9.1% of all registered nurses are less than 30 years old. So that gives you some, you know, outlook on that there are a lot of young nurses coming out of school nowadays. 63% of nurses are working full time at this given time, and that is really good. They said by the year 2020, 44 states and the District of Columbia are projecting to have a nursing shortage. Now, we know that that's true because we are right now in 2020. This publication was written back in 2015. So that just goes to show you how long the statistics about nursing have been out, and to let you know that in 2020, at least probably more than 44 states including the District of Columbia, is having a shortage in nursing. 50% of all nurses have a bachelor's degree or higher. A lot of my friends now are MPs, and some of them have gone further and got their doctorate degrees. A lot of them are now entrepreneurs where they're working for themselves rather than working for someone else. But that is a personal preference. It depends on what you're willing to do and how much education you're willing to take when it comes down to nursing. Nursing is a growing field. Nursing is a field where you can continue to grow. You put forth what you want to get out of nursing and make that work for you. That is the great thing about nursing. You don't have to work bedside, but you would have to work bedside in order to get your training. If you are a new grad nurse and you want to go into a critical care field, find a hospital or institutional organization that are training new grads. They are new grads that's working in a critical care rotation where you do ICU, ER, and maybe one of the outpatient surgical clinic areas. And they give you a choice once you finish that program, which usually runs 3 to 4 months of training to be sure that you have been educated the proper way. Now, that's for males or females, and it's all about what you're willing to put in. Are you willing to put in the work to do that job and to, be are you able to be trained? Because some people aren't able to be trained. They come out of nursing school and they know it all until they get out there and they have their first cardiac arrest on a unit or in a critical care area. Then they understand what nursing is really about. I have been an LPN for 19 years, and in February of 2023, I would be a licensed practical nurse for 20 years, and my educational level is very, very, very extensive. That I have gotten certifications in hyperbarics, wound care. I've worked as a clinical lead in a clinic area. So you know, I have done the work. In other words, I have done the work to be able to go out here and request what I would love my pay to be. If someone's not offering what you're used to or what you're comfortable with, then just move on. Eventually, you will find a job that is willing to pay you for your education and your experience. Experience take you a long way in any job that you do. So this is the nurseologist signing out from this episode on this week that talked about the male nurses in healthcare and as a registered nurse or working as a CNA, a CMT, a CMA, anywhere in the nursing field. Men nurses are getting paid more, but for me, they are requested to do more. So that's how I guess make note of why they're getting paid more than me, but it should be equal pay for equal education. So signing out. Thank you for tuning in this week and tune in to She's the Boss Radio Network. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, and have a wonderful weekend.